Hello and welcome to this chapter of Success with Local Marketing. My name is John Maggio, and today we're going to be going over Chapter 2, Creating Your Networking Funnel. Now this is a series of chapters for the book, Success with Local Marketing. It's going to be part of the Success with Local Marketing Expo coming up in 2019. More details to come for that later. But let us go ahead and begin. So you're out here networking and you're out to get a bunch of cards, not quite sure what to do with them. Some of you have all your cards in little bags. Some of you have cards piled up on your desk. Some of you just put them in a box, not really doing much with them, even though we keep trading them back and forth. So today we're going to give you a little bit of a tool, an explanation, how to mine those business cards for new leads and new business. What we have here at our office is we have this is an illustration, but it's called a networking funnel. And you can see that there's 5 sections. Let me go over the sections with you real quick. This is need a one-on-one. This one is going to be waiting for response. This one is going to be scheduled. This one is not interested, and this one is met with. We're going to give you some pro tips on each of these sections, how to have some really good success, and how to mine those business cards and actually get a result. See, this is going to be a measurable result, something you're going to be able to repeat every time, and you're going to get a number. Meaning you're going to have a result per every 10 interactions, 15 interactions, 20 interactions. And maybe if it's more than 20, 25, we've got to make some adjustments. We can all spot somebody who's brand new versus somebody who has been networking with us for a long time. You see the new guy usually stands up and he's trying to sell something. He's trying to, give us his whole list of products and services. A lot of times we call that spilling your candy in the lobby. Other times we call that showing up and throwing up. You see, some groups give you 30 seconds. Some groups give you 90 seconds. Some groups, you can take 5 minutes if you want, but nobody's listening after 8 seconds. And those of us that are trained and those of us that have been networking for a little while know that, this perfect 90-second, 60-second, 30-second elevator speech is often just ignored. Meaning, most of the times after 8 seconds, people are looking at their cell phones, they're not paying attention anymore. There's 20 or 30 people in the room. We've got to, maybe they've heard 15 of these already before yours. People are zoned out. So the best thing to do is to have a spiffy 8-second commercial. Better than that, an awesome follow-up plan. That's what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is a follow-up plan to your networking. Something that you're going to be doing after the event. You've gotten all these business cards, now what do you do? So, what I want you to do is I want you to go home, go to the office, dig all these cards out of your wallet, off your desk, out of that box, get them out of that baggie, and let's go ahead and put all your business cards right here on the first square. Need a one-on-one, right? So we're going to need a one-on-one. That means we're going to meet with every single person in that list, not necessarily to prioritize or to pick the top or the bottom, but just get them all in one pile. Get them all in one pile. And we're going to move those from left to right. And as we move them from left to right, we're going to actually create a system that at the bottom is going to have a result. Much like a sales funnel, you put a lot of things up at the top, and then things whittle down, and at the bottom, there's going to be a result. Great news about this result, it's dependable, it's predictable, and repeatable. Those are awesome things, right? The 3 awesome things we'd like to hear. So let's go ahead and talk about need a one-on-one. We're going to do some mind-blowing strategies here. Watch. Instead of, after your networking event, instead of sending them that email saying, hey, It was great seeing you at the happy hour last week. By the way, I sell this, I sell this, I sell this, I sell this. If you ever need any of these 10 things, please keep me in mind. Don't send that. That's getting deleted. Number one, deleting, trash right away. Please don't send a follow-up email like that. That is not a good way to spread your brand message by following up with a sales message. What you might want to do though, you might have a very high success rate if you switch the gear a little bit. Just, again, switch the gear a little bit. Try this technique. Hey, saw you at the happy hour last week. Do you mind if we get together? I am really interested in a few of the things that you were saying and like to get to know more about your business. You see, what you're doing there is you're asking for that person for their pitch, right? So imagine if you got an email in your inbox and all of a sudden it said, hey, would you like to meet up because I'd like for you to pitch me? You'd be like, heck yeah, I'm ready to pitch right now. Let's go. But see, that's kind of what you're doing to them. You're saying, hey, well, I'm interested about you. I'm not trying to sell me. I'm trying to learn more about you. I heard what you were saying and I want to get more information. 2019 is coming up and I'm looking for partners, referral partners. You know, let's share information. So you send them the email. Can I have more information about you? Do you mind getting some coffee? Pro tip, shoot them a couple options. Give them 2 or 3 dates, right? So they can reply right back with, yeah, I can take coffee on that date. You see, you're skipping a step. You say, oh, can you meet up? Then they're going to reply, sure, when? So you skip that step. Do you mind if we meet up? Here's 3 dates I'm available in the next week. Are any of these any good? Question mark. Right? So you're making it very easy. You're going to get a very easy reply, yes or no reply at all, you know, and we can move forward. So, another pro tip. Make sure that when you send out the email asking for more information about them and that you want to hook up and get together with them because you're more interested about them than you are about yourself, make sure you mention the date and event that you guys met at. As you know, we get a lot of solicitation when we're networking and when we're in sales, so it's just very important to solidify that you guys did meet. Maybe trigger something in their head. They remember the conversation. Hey Mike, it was nice meeting you at Union Jack's last Wednesday at the happy hour. Really looking forward to 2019. Do you have any time in the next 2 weeks? Maybe we could get together. I'd like to know more about your business. I have Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday at 2 o'clock open. Are any of those days good with you? Question mark. Boom, send. You know, and then wait for the reply. So you've sent you sent the message out, right? And you can kind of send the same similar message as long as it's friendly to each person. And now we're going to move that card to waiting for a response. So there's a couple of pro tips here I'd like to go ahead and discuss with you. First, I told you a lot of people, they get a lot of solicitations. So there's a couple follow-up tips that we need to follow here, and maybe these will resonate with the way you're going to follow up with your other business as well. If you don't get a response from that first request within 5 days, I want you to go ahead and shoot them another response. Shoot them another invite. Hey, didn't think you saw that first email, but I really do want to get together with you and learn more about your business. Send. You know, that gives them an indication that you're serious, you're not just spamming, you're not just messing around. You know, that lets them know. So if they don't respond to that second message within 10 days, just go ahead and take their card and put it right here in the not interested section. That's right. I know you think they're a prospect, I know you think they're a golden nugget, but you asked twice, they didn't respond to you. For now, they need to go in that not interested. You know why? Because we have 200 or 300 cards sitting over here waiting for people that might be interested in having coffee. And for now, we can't let that log block the river. We got to keep things flowing. So they don't respond, 2 requests, 10 days, not interested. Not interested. We got to keep moving. There's a lot of people waiting in line to have coffee with us this year. So you've gone ahead and sent it twice. They either did respond or they didn't respond. If they responded, go ahead and move them over to the scheduled section, right? This is a holding pattern, this area right here, the scheduled section. Let me tell you why they've got to stay here for a little while. Networking is something that a lot of us do to mine new leads, mine new referrals, get new business. But when it comes time to getting coffee and strengthening those networking relationships, they do have to take a back seat to active prospects. Meaning, I might schedule something with somebody, and then by the time next week comes, they have an appointment now because their client needs them, or their boss needs them, or a new deadline has come up, and they have to reschedule. That's perfectly acceptable. We all understand. So when you're trying to get 10 one-on-ones in a week, remember, you need to schedule 14, 15, 16 one-on-ones. The reschedule rate is going to be anywhere between 10 and 20%. So if you want 10, schedule 15. If you want 20, schedule 25, 30. It's just the fact of the matter is that things are going to happen. The world is working, and things are going to come up, and rescheduling is going to happen. And so, pro tip, somebody reschedules on you 2 or 3 times, strike out. They go right in the not interested pile, right? Remember, we do need to be serious. So if they're flaking on you and they're rescheduling on you and they're locking down your calendar slots and rescheduling on you last minute, 3 strikes, they have to go into the not interested pile. We have to keep it moving. Remember, there's a lot of business cards, there's a lot of people that we have to try to talk to in 2019, next year, etc. So if they're not getting that appointment and they're flaking, they're not interested. All right. Okay, so we've talked about scheduled. Now I want to talk about this other category here, not interested. Very interesting column, not interested. It can cut a couple different ways. There's a couple rules here I want to go over. One of the first things that we talked about was we sent out 1 or 2 requests asking somebody that if they were interested in having coffee with us, we were interested in doing business with them in 2019. We were interested in trading referrals. We were interested about their products and services. They didn't respond. They're not interested. We asked once, we asked twice, they're not interested. The second one was when people were constantly rescheduling on us. Obviously they weren't being very serious about the conversation. Maybe they had a bad feeling about it. Maybe we were pressing too hard. It could be any number of reasons. We never connected. We tried 2 or 3 times. They're not interested. So we went ahead and moved them over to not interested. Another thing is you meet somebody at a happy hour, you don't get a good vibe, you're not feeling their energy. It's okay. Not everybody is attracted right away. We're all electrical. We have positives and negatives. If you're not getting a good vibe, trust your intuition, put them in the not interested pile. Now, it doesn't mean judge a book by the cover. It doesn't mean just because you don't buy or would never buy or their product or service. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you're not getting a good feeling from your intuition about this person, it's okay to put them in the not interested pile. Also, once you've met with the person and you don't get a good vibe and you're not feeling it, you can put them in the not interested pile. You got to trust your gut. Nobody's saying you have to do business with people, but we had a couple rules here for this category and I wanted to share them with you. All right, so the most important category, the most important column here is met with. All right, I have a lot of pro tips here for the met with column. If you get a chance to have a one-on-one with somebody, it really needs to be about them. 80-20. You need to talk about them and ask them 80% of the time, and you need to talk about yourself about 20% of the time, or really not at all. Really, you need to be asking questions 20% of the time and letting them answer with 80% of the time. So let me tell you a few reasons why. First of all, if that person's talking, they are convincing themselves that they're having a good time with you. They are convincing themselves that they're liking this relationship. They're building trust with you. You're allowing them to talk about themselves, and you're resisting the urge to talk about yourself. Number 2, is you're asking great questions, which is a terrific sales technique, leading into trying to find out what's bothering them, trying to find out what might be a trigger, trying to find out what product or service that you might be able to help them with. You see, you're letting them go first, because if you're talking, they're not buying. If they're talking, they're convincing themselves. If you're talking, they're not buying. If they're talking, they're convincing themselves. Now, we've talked about the not interested category. Let's talk about the met with category. Let's say you actually do get a meeting. I've got some pro tips here to make sure that that meeting goes really well. I heard a saying a long time ago, you'll never win a game of tennis with the ball on your side of the court. Meaning, you'll never win a game of tennis with the ball on your side of the court. You need to go ahead and visualize this. If you're having a conversation with somebody, they're talking. That means they're handing the ball over to you. What I need you to do is I need you to volley, and I need you to ask a question and hit the ball over to them. Let them answer the question, ball comes back over to you. I need you to volley again and hit another question over. Hit another question over. Hit another question over. See, the ratio here needs to be 80-20. 20% you asking questions, 80% them answering. Now, what kind of questions are you asking here? Well, it can't be all about business. In fact, back in the day, when you used to have a business dinner, everybody had to talk about personal stuff and be very social, and nobody was allowed to talk about business until actually the entree came out. So as you can imagine, well into the meeting, before business even came out. You need to talk about hobbies. You need to talk about kids. You need to talk about where they're from. Are they from here? How do they get here? What school did they go to? Just interesting stuff, just background, friend type information. See, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a friendship, a relationship, something more than just me presenting and you presenting. It has to be 80% them answering, 20% you asking questions. This is very important because what you're doing here is you're unveiling what might be bothering them. You're revealing what opportunity you might have to suggest a product or service later that you could solve their problem, because people don't really act unless one of four things are happening. One is pain now, pain in the future, pleasure now, pleasure in the future. These four things are really what set people off and make their decisions happen. So what you're doing in this questioning session is you're asking poignant questions to reveal one or more of those four things. That way, at the end of the conversation, about 40-45 minutes in, when you take your 10 minutes to tell them, or your 15 minutes to tell them about you, you're very specific about what you're telling them. If you have a solution, you're very specific and you offer the one service or product that you have that will effectively help them with their problem, not the whole list. Do not open up the PowerPoint presentation. That is not happening. You need to listen and then offer the one solution that you heard that you could have value. Now, if it's not your product or service that you feel like you can have value, dig into your network, dig into your circle of influence, and refer somebody. This is the time to shine. Refer one of your networking partners. That type of payback is going to come sevenfold in the future. So if you can't help them right away, you need to dig into your circle of influence and give 2 or 3 referrals right there at the table. That's what networking is all about. So they went 80%, you went 20%. Now you guys have a lot of information, a lot of commonalities. You did your pre-call planning. You looked online, you looked at their LinkedIn profile, you looked on social media to see what they were interested in, see what their hobbies might be. That's how you came up with these great questions through your for your session, right? So you didn't just walk in there blind, right? Right. So we promised results. We promised this was going to be a sales funnel, a networking sales funnel. We entered a lot of people here at the top, and then they dwindled down, and at the bottom there's going to be a result. So for every 5, 10, or 15 coffees that you had, you're going to get new business. There's going to be a measurable result at the end of this metric. Most of the time it's 10 or 15, but I've seen a lot of people have success with even 4 or 5. 10 or 15 is going to be your major mark, and what you're going to do is you're going to count them and average them, because every prospect pays you. Meaning, after the 15th coffee, you get new business. That business is worth X. How much money is it? $6,000, $10,000? Because if the number's, $6,000, for example, and it took you 15 meetings, well, that means that each meeting was worth about $450. What? $450 just for having coffee? That's right. You just got paid $450 for having a cup of coffee, getting to know somebody, learning more about them, and actually maybe creating a relationship. That's a lot of money. Maybe your number is not 450, maybe it's 200, maybe it's 500, but you need to figure out this metric, because every prospect pays you. And for every 10 or 15 coffees that you're going to have, there's going to be some sort of result. A new lead, a new referral, new business. Sometimes it might be 20, sometimes it might be 25. Maybe you're in an industry like real estate, where there's a lot of people in real estate. You might need 20 or 25 coffees. Maybe you're in an industry like finance. There's a lot of financial advisors out there. You might need 20 or 25 coffees. Maybe you're in construction. Maybe you're in HVAC. You might only need 10 or 15. Maybe you're in marketing. You might only need 10 or 15. But what you need to do is you need to start measuring the actions and then figuring out how many actions it takes to get a result. That's your batting average. How many up to bats did it take for you to get a hit? Normally with this coffee funnel, it's about 10 or 15. If it's getting out of control, if it's been 20 or 25 and you haven't gotten any result at all, maybe there needs to be a switch up. You see, there's 3 things that factor into the success. The first thing is the person, which is you, and I'm sure you're a pretty good person. The second thing is the product. Is the product valuable right now? Is the market flooded? Is there too many people competing? And the third thing is the process. Well, you've got this great process. See, you're having coffee, you're making friends. So now you have to look at the product or the pricing. See, is there too many people out there? Is your product too expensive? Is it too complicated to buy? Is that why people aren't signing up? You might need to make an adjustment. I'm just giving you a little inkling as to what you might want to look at if you're having 20, 25 coffees with no luck at all. So you might need to switch it up. Anyway, a few more pro tips. Right after you're done having your one-on-one, you put them in the met with pile. What are you going to do with the card now? I suggest you add them to your email list. You met with them, they know you know them pretty well. I think it's time for you to become Facebook friends. Send them a friend request on Facebook, add them to your email drip, and go ahead and send them marketing material for the rest of the year. Not the type of stuff like, hey, look what I have today for sale, this is my new product. None of that type of stuff. We need to send them content that is valuable, content that is going to be helpful for them. We already know why they wanted to talk to us. We know their pain points. So we need to sit there and think about what type of content we're going to send that person for the rest of the year, because BOGO and 50% off and this is my new stuff and buy me now, that is not the type of stuff that's going to strengthen our relationship. It's just not. Another pro tip. If you have coffee with somebody one time, schedule another coffee meeting with them in the next couple months. When have you had a great relationship and there was only one date? When did you build that great relationship and it ended on one date? So think about how big somebody's network is going to be 6 months from now. Think about how many coffees you're going to have between now and 6 months from now, and how much bigger and greater your network is going to be. Right? That's why you need to continually have coffee with people a few times a year, right? And in between, they're getting your emails, and in between, they're seeing you on social media, and now, all of a sudden, you're in front of them all year. This is the beginning of having success with local marketing. So this is chapter 2 of Success with Local Marketing. Chapter 3, Chapter 4, they're coming up. I want you to tune in, subscribe to the YouTube channel, friend request me on Facebook at John Maggio, join the networking group, Networking Indianapolis on Facebook, check out upcoming episodes of Lift Off, which is going to be our 52 episodes for 2019. Lift Off is going to be our podcast, our webcast, our YouTube channel, everything. So again, check us out in 2019 and beyond, and we'll talk to you soon. You know, some people give you 30 seconds in an elevator pitch. Some people give you 90 seconds. You could take 5 minutes for all we care, but nobody's listening after 8 seconds. Nobody's listening after 8 seconds. They're tuned out. They're looking at their cell phone. They're waiting for the next person. You know, especially if there's like 20 or 30 or 40 people going in a row. Nobody's listening after 8 seconds. It's too much. It's too much. So remember, you want to stand out. You want to stand out. And this type of positive behavior, this type of openness, this is what's going to get you standing out. This is not spamming. This is not going in the junk mail. This is getting read. So increase your chances by being positive. Increase your chances by making it about them, not you. It was. You see, a lot of people get emails often, and more often than not, it's, hey, glad to see you at the event. Just to let you know, I sell XYZ, BBD. If you need to know anything, come see me. Well, that's automatic delete. Nobody wants to see that type of follow-up email. So send that follow-up email talking about, hey, I saw you at the event last Wednesday. It was really great getting to see you again. Do you mind if we got coffee next week? I like to know a little bit more about your products and services. You were talking about a few things and it really piqued my interest. Did you have time? Question mark. Send. You know, very nice, not the type of follow-up where you're like, hey, let me sell you something, but the type of follow-up is like, hey, let's partner. Let me buy something from you. Here's the real deal. Why ask all those questions? Why ask all those questions? I know. Earlier I said, if you're talking, they're not buying. If they're talking themselves into buying. But really, the reason why we're asking all the questions is because instead of offering everybody this entire list of portfolio of products and services that we have, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the one product and service that we can provide. This one product and service that we can provide that can help them. That's the secret. You don't overload them. You don't make it difficult for them. You bring out the questions and you have them answer the problems that they're having, and then you go through your list of all the solutions you can provide, and you just pick the one. And you just say, hey, you know what, I can help you with that. I have this one solution. What do you think? What do you think do you think we should follow up, or do you think there's some next steps here? Well, first of all, you've made a lot of good friendships. It's amazing how many great people are out there that you never knew because you're sitting in a cubicle or you're sitting behind your computer. Networking has changed my life forever, just with the relationships that I've generated, being part of the chambers, having my own groups, going to groups. I see a lot of people out and about. My friends are from networking. A lot of new relationships from business are from networking now. So it's going to change and impact your life for the positive. I guarantee that.